Hear ye, hear ye. The Circuit Court for the 13th Judicial Circuit of Florida and the County Court in and for Hillsborough County, Florida, are now in ceremonial joint session. The Honorable Ronald N. Figueroa, Chief Judge presiding. Anyone having business before this court, draw near and ye shall be heard. God save the United States, the great state of Florida, and this honorable court. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cub Scout Pack 23.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated.
Great job, Cub Scouts. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Deputy Manzi told you, my name is Ron Figueroa, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Chief Judge here in the 13th Judicial Circuit. And as he indicated, the judges of the 13th Judicial Circuit and the judges of Hillsborough County are here in ceremonial joint session, along with several colleagues from the 2nd District Court of Appeal, from the U.S. Middle District of Florida, from the 10th Circuit, and from the 11th Circuit. We're here for a very special occasion. This is a standing room only crowd. I think it's a record crowd, Judge Palermo. We're here for a very happy occasion, and that is the investiture of the Honorable Thomas N. Palermo as a judge of the Circuit Court of the 13th Judicial Circuit. At this time, I'm going to ask Monsignor Mike Moore to give us an invocation, please. Monsignor, an honor to have you with us.
I formed this prayer from the reflections of Justice Michael D. Hyman, who was assigned to the Illinois Appellate Court, 1st District. Dear God, may Thomas make each proceeding as just and fair as possible. May he appreciate and respect the human effect of each decision. May he disregard personal sentiment, popular opinion, ideology, or extra legal considerations in reaching his decisions. May he fulfill his responsibilities in a manner that honors this noble calling. And finally, may the humility of Abraham Lincoln's prayer be his. May the Almighty grant that the cause of truth, justice, and humanity shall in no wise suffer at my hands. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Monsignor. At this time, I have traditionally introduced my colleagues on the bench, and wow, we've got a record number of colleagues. So I'm going to please ask all of you to be patient and bear with me, because I'm honored to share this bench with these men and women who will be co-presiding over this investiture with me. First of all, seated to my left, we're honored to have with us from the 2nd District Court of Appeals, Judge Susan Rothstein-Yucca. And at this time, I'm going to introduce my colleagues, Judge Rex Barbas, Judge Ralph Stoddard, Judge Richard Nielsen, Judge Lamar Battles, Judge Denise Pomponio, Judge Martha Cook, Judge Christopher Sabella, Judge Melissa Polo, Judge Ann Lee Moe, Judge Christine Marleski, Judge Carolyn Teshi-Arkin, Judge Michael Williams, Judge Mark Kaiser, Judge Emily Peacock, Judge Lisa Campbell, Judge Catherine Catlin, Judge Cheryl Thomas, Judge Elizabeth Rice, Judge Michael Shanti, Judge Carl Hinson, Judge Jennifer Gabbard, Judge Robin Fuson, Judge John Conrad, Judge Paul Jeske, Judge Scott Farr, Judge Scott Stevens, Judge Kim Hernandez-Vance, Judge Jessica Costello, Judge Jack Gubman, Judge Cynthia Oster, Judge Jared Smith, Judge Miriam Falkenberg, Judge Joel Ober, Judge Lisa Allen, Judge Darren Farfante, Judge Francis Peroni, Judge Nick Nazaritan, Judge Robert Bowman, and we're also honored to have with us, here on the bench with us, from the 2nd District Court of Appeals, former State Attorney E.J. Salcinas, one of our senior judges, Dick Greco Jr., joining us from the 10th Circuit, one of the former top assistant state attorneys here in Hillsborough County, and now circuit judge in the 10th Circuit, Jalal Harb. We are honored to have with us over in the jury box from the 11th Judicial Circuit, Judge Alex Boker, from the 2nd District Court of Appeals, Judge Andrea Tennis-Smith, Judge John Badalamenti from the 2nd DCA, Judge Robert Morris from the 2nd DCA, our former colleague and now U.S. Middle District Judge Thomas Barber, our former colleague, 2nd District Court of Appeal Judge Anthony Black, U.S. Magistrate Judge Mark Pizos, no, excuse me, Anthony Porcelli, I'm sorry, over there. I thought Mark's here too. There you go. Okay, there you go. Judge Mary Scriven, from our former colleague from the 13th Circuit, Judge Jim Whittemore, former colleague from the 13th Circuit, and Hillsborough County Judge Susan Buckley, now the U.S. District Judge. Former Hillsborough County Judge, former 13th Circuit Judge, former 2nd DCA Judge, U.S. District Judge Richard Lazera. My counterpart over at the U.S. Middle District, and we were in my office comparing notes, the Chief Judge from the U.S. Middle District, the Honorable Stephen Merity. Honored to have you with us, Chief. One of our senior judges, Claudia Isom, U.S. Magistrate Judge Sean Flynn, Judge Pizzo, there you go, U.S. Magistrate Judge Chris Toot, U.S. Magistrate Judge Amanda Sansone, and U.S. Magistrate Judge Julie Steen. So we're honored to have all of these judges here. Judge Elizabeth Kovakovich is with us as well. And it's always a special treat to have Judge Kay with us. Thank you, Judge Kay. At this time, I'm also going to try to introduce and get through some of our elected officials and guests that have joined us. State Representative Michael Beltran is here with us. Congresswoman Kathy Castor. The Mayor of the City of Tampa, Jane Castor, is with us as well. Thank you. Our U.S. Attorney, Maria Chapa Lopez, is with us. From the Tampa City Council, Orlando Goods. The General Counsel for the Florida Senate, Jeremiah Hawks. We've got Major O'Neill Jackson III from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office with us. Our former colleague and Secretary of State, the Honorable Laurel Lee, is here with us, and you'll be hearing from her a little later on. Our Public Defender, Julie Holt. City Councilman Louis Vieira. Our State Attorney, Andrew Warren. Our former Mayor, President of Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Pam Iorio. Pulitzer Prize winning author, Gilbert King, is with us. We've got the former Mayor of Tampa and our former Governor, Bob Martinez, with us as well. Thank you. Former Acting U.S. Attorney, Steve Muldrow, is with us. Our former State Attorney, Mark Ober, is with us. Former Hillsborough County Bar President, Lance Scriven. Former Hillsborough County Bar President and former Florida Bar President, Bill Schifino. Former Hillsborough County Bar President, John Schifino. And the list goes on and on. We could probably start over here and work our way as well. We would be here all day. But there are some family members of Judge Palermo, and I want to specifically point them out as well. Judge Palermo's got his wife, Brittany, here with him. His handsome son, Peter Thomas, is with him as well. His parents, Peter Nelson Palermo and Delia Palermo. His sister, Anna Maria Palermo. His brother, Anthony Palermo. His sister-in-law, Alexandra Palermo. And we've already met, or I've introduced the Honorable Laurel Lee and Monsignor Moore. There's some other family members on the front row that are very special to Tom. We welcome his nonno, Joe Perricone, is with us today. Great to have you with us, nonno. In-law, his mother-in-law and father-in-law, Thomas Morrill and Rosemary Morrill, Air Force Colonel Ginger Haddad, James Palermo, Jean Palermo, Dr. Bill Geyer, Adele Geyer, Kevin Stanley, Angela Stanley, Jason Lewis, Jason Fetter, and John Fitzgibbon. So I thank you all. And now let's get on with the show. But I would also just personally like to thank each and every one of you for being here today. As I indicated, I think this is a record crowd for one of our investitures, and it's a great reflection on Judge Palermo. He's been with us now for a while, and he's made a great impression on all of us. And I know that he greatly appreciates each and every one of you being here, taking your time away from your day on a Thursday to come downtown, to park downtown, to be here with us, to celebrate this very, very momentous occasion. And it's always a very special occasion when you're sworn in as a judge. And so we're honored for all of you to be here today. As I was saying, let's get the show on the road, and I will call upon Grace Yang, the president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association, to present Judge Palermo with his robe.
May it please the court. Thank you, Chief Judge Figueroa, other honorable members of the bench, family members, friends. It is my honor to be the president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association this year and to welcome you all to this happy occasion. These ceremonies are indeed some of the happiest events that we have here at the court. And so we thank you, Judge Palermo, for including us in your special day. We appreciate very much the collegial, supportive, and respectful relationship that the bench and the bar members have here in Hillsborough County. The Hillsborough County Bar Association's annual Bench Bar Conference is coming up on October 3rd this year, and you have been an active participant with this conference for at least the last 8 years. Judge Palermo has been involved in giving presentations on social media and electronic evidence, and serving this year as the committee co-chair for the conference. Judge Palermo was born in Tampa and has deep family roots in this community, including a father from Seminole Heights, a mother from Ybor City, brother and sister-in-law who are also attorneys and County Bar Association members, a wife who works at Moffitt Cancer Center, a sister who is a local real estate agent, a son, a niece, and the other special family members and relatives who are here to join us today. Judge Palermo, you have distinguished yourself as a state and federal prosecutor before becoming a judge. Your service and commitment to the legal profession and your community means a great deal to us. And so please know you have my personal support and the Hillsborough County Bar Association's ongoing support. It's my privilege to present the robe to wear in good health and to add our highest esteem and appreciation as you continue your good many, many years of future service on the bench. Congratulations and thank you.
Judge, I'm sure that many years ago, your mom and dad helped you get dressed. Sometimes things go full circle. And at this time, I'm going to call on Peter Nelson Palermo and Delia Palermo to assist you with your robe.
Do a little better.
introduce her. Very important part of our court family. And on the front row, Julie Palermo as well. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to call upon Jeff Wilcox to present Judge Palermo with a Bible on behalf of the Young Lawyers Division of the Hillsborough County Bar Association.
May it please the court. Judge Palermo, as president of the HCDA-YLD, it is my honor and privilege to present to you the Bible upon which you will take your oath. As you know from being a native of Tampa and through your many years of service to the bar, the YLD has been privileged to enjoy the support and mentorship of the judges who make up the 13th Circuit for many, many years. We work closely with the judiciary to elevate the quality of legal services provided to the people of Hillsborough County. The YLD could not be more excited to have a judge of your caliber joining the bench. We look forward to working with you in the coming years and continuing our strong partnership with you as a new member of the judiciary. Your background and dedication to public service will be enormous assets, not just to the young lawyers, but of all residents of Hillsborough County. Judge Palermo, it is with great honor that on behalf of the young lawyers of the Hillsborough County Bar Association, that I present to you your Bible.
Judge, you have your robe, you have your Bible. I think it's time for you to be sworn in, so I'm going to ask my colleague from the 2nd BCA, the Honorable Susan Rothstein-Newcomb, to administer the oath to you, while your wife Brittany and your son Peter Thomas hold the Bible for you. You please step forward.
Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state,
of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties
perform the duties
of circuit judge
of circuit judge,
on which I am now about to enter.
which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
At this time, the court is going to call upon one of our colleagues, Senior Judge Claudia Rickert Isom, to present Judge Palermo with a nameplate provided by the Florida Conference of Circuit Court Judges.
Some of you might wonder why I'm here. Does anybody have a Kleenex? I think I'm going to get a little emotional. I'm here because of a series of very fortunate events. 40 years ago, the Honorable E.J. Salsinas gave me a job. And I was working with a lot of young lions. And they told me, you have a son. Your son should go to Jesuit. Jesse was only 3.5 years old at that time, but I remembered that because I wanted my son to have the best education we could afford. Years later, Jesse was fortunate to get into Jesuit, and he met Tom Palermo. Jesuit was special. Up until that time, Jesse had been teased because he was smart, frowned upon because he liked to take exception to some of the things, the rules that were being laid down by his teachers. But Jesuit fostered not just the education of young men, but the forming of their moral character. And along with my son, Tom Palermo, was formed. Their motto, men for others. Mr. Palermo, you are a judge for others. We congratulate you, and with the permission of Judge Angela Cowden, I am representing the Florida Conference of Circuit Judges today to give you this nameplate. Now you might think, oh, I know my name, what do I need this for? Someday, somebody's gonna say to you, when did you become a judge? And you'll say, where's my nameplate? Congratulations.
The court is going to call upon George Nader and Tony Martino to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the American Board of Trial Advocates.
Thank you, Chief Judge Figueroa, members of the court, may it please the court, and Judge Palermo, congratulations, so well deserved. ABOTA, it stands for the American Board of Trial Advocates. It is a national organization of about 7,000 lawyers, 97 chapters across the nation, made up of civil trial lawyers who have to have a minimum number of trials, and we are made up of half plaintiff lawyers, half defense lawyers, and we have three core values, and that is preservation of the right to the jury trial, promotion of civility and professionalism, and protection of the judiciary. And Tony Martino, one of our esteemed members of ABOTA, asked me to make the presentation, and so he's going to do that now. Thanks, Tony.
You just look small compared to the last one. I'm Tony Martino, and I'm a past president of ABOTA, and when I found out that a young friend had become appointed to this position, I asked permission graciously from George Nader, our current president, if I might present you with our plaque. And he said yes. So I stand before you as someone that you've known for, I'm trying to figure, maybe more than 20 years. And I'm proud to say that his dad, Pete, was a part of our fishing group that we were awkwardly known as the Fat Boys Fishing Invitational Tournament that went on for many, many years with a lot of great people from Tampa. And not all of us actually fit the moniker. But Thomas was there, and that's when I got to know him, and we've kept in touch over the years, and it's been very much my pleasure to see you grow through your profession to be a prosecutor. And I'm reminded of the motto of Jesuit, which you and I both attended, but not exactly at the same time. Maybe about 24 years apart. I see Father Hermes is here, which is always great to visit with him. And remember the motto that they gave us and instilled upon us as men for others. And what that means is that we serve, and we help, and we do what we can. When the opportunity arises, in your particular case as a prosecutor for 16 years, now entering the bench, which is probably going to be another 15 or 20 years, or however many you choose, you will be serving others, seeking justice, in which you have an opportunity to actually administer justice. I know that as a prosecutor, your goals were to seek justice, but to administer justice is an important role. And what I always like to make mention of is that litigants are not always as respectful as they should be, nor prepared to be in front of you. And I'm offended when I see that amongst my brotherhood of lawyers who walk into hearings and they don't have preparation for you. And you should not accept that. And ABOTA doesn't believe you should either. And that's why upon this dust plaque, it says, professionalism and civility. Anything less will not be tolerated. This is not a request. This is a requirement, we believe. And we believe it's very important that those that appear in front of you know that, which is why it's on this plaque, and we believe that it's something that's important to us to maintain what we believe to be a very honorable profession in the judiciary. One that we have fought for many years to preserve and protect the independence of the judiciary. And this is in keeping with all of our goals to maintain the integrity of our profession and to keep those appearing before you in the right perspective. Tom, congratulations. On behalf of all of our friends, your family, and everyone that knows you and loves you, congratulations, and we welcome you to the bench.
this time, the court will call upon Andres Oliveras to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association.
Good afternoon. May it please the court. I'm Andres Oliveros, immediate past president of the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association. Our president, Hernando Bernal, is traveling and he sends his regrets. Judge Palermo, first of all, thank you very much for including us as part of this celebration, and congratulations once again to you. At the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association, we know that our organization is only as good as our relationship with the judiciary is strong. So we look forward to working with you, and we congratulate you once again. Now, I see that you've received your Bible, you've received some nameplates there, and you're wearing your robe. And as nice as that robe is, we figured that maybe at some point you'd be taking that robe off. And so, on behalf of the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association, Judge Palermo, we present you with
At this time, the court will call upon Mamie Wise to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the Hillsborough Association for Women Lawyers.
Good afternoon. May it please the court. I'm Mamie Wise here for the Hillsborough Association of Women Lawyers. We have about 300 women and men members who support women, lawyers and women in the judiciary and equality in and under the law. Personally, I'm really thrilled to be here on behalf of Hall today. I've known Tom, Judge Palermo, I'm struggling with that one, I'll get it, for a long time. As opposing counsel when I was in private practice and he was a prosecutor, as a friend and colleague at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and now as a judicial supporter of Hall. So I'm here to present you with a crystal clock from Hall, so you can be timely and think of us. I know you're a fantastic addition to the bench, and I'm really excited to see what you do. Congratulations.
And at this time, the court will call upon Valeria Obi to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the George Edgecombe Bar Association.
May it please the court. Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Valeria Obi. I have the pleasure of serving as president of the George Edgecombe Bar Association. For those of you who do not know, we are the largest voluntary bar, African-American voluntary bar in Hillsborough County. We are named after the Honorable George Edgecombe, who was the first African-American judge in Hillsborough County. Judge Palermo, thank you for including us in your investiture today. We appreciate your support in the past, and we look forward to working with you in the future. So, we got to get more creative in our gift giving. We also presented you with a clock. And so, as we all know, a clock tells time. Well, I was an English lit major, and in literature we learned that a clock symbolizes different phases in life: adulthood, infancy, childhood, many different phases. And then through life we go through many different hardships and we celebrate many different achievements. And so we hope that as you embark on this new journey, that this clock symbolizes what a wonderful time in your life this is. And if all that doesn't work, we hope that it'll help you move your docket along as swiftly as possible. Thank you again, and congratulations.
And at this time, the court will call upon Zara Elias to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the Asian Pacific American Bar Association of Tampa Bay.
Your Honor, may it please the court. Good afternoon. My name is Zara Elias, and I serve as the president of the Asian Pacific American Bar Association of Tampa Bay, or in short, APABA. We are a volunteer bar association with members who are law students, attorneys, and judges from all across the Tampa Bay area. We deeply value diversity and inclusion with members not only of Asian descent and heritage, but also of other backgrounds. We are a local affiliate of the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association, which represents the interests of over 50,000 legal professionals in the nation. On behalf of on behalf of APABA, I, along with my other officers, Bijal Kapoor, Haksu Stephen Lee, are honored to be here today, Judge, to celebrate our investiture. Judge Palermo's personal achievements are a true testament to his intellect and dedication to the legal profession and community. You are an inspiration to all of us. Now, some of us in this room have immigrant ancestors who made their way to this great nation in search of opportunity, safety, and freedom, an American dream. When litigants are before the court, APABA sincerely asks that our esteemed judiciary think of their own ancestors or keep their ancestors in mind, including their struggles, personal struggles to learn the English language, their hard work to provide for their families, and their journey and efforts to become Americans in their newly adopted home. It is essential that our judiciary be made up of judges who directly reflect the makeup of the communities in which they serve. And with judges on the bench like Judge Palermo, the Hillsborough County and 13th Judicial Circuit are well on its way. Judge Palermo, we present you with a lucky bamboo, not because you need any luck, but because lucky bamboo signifies happiness, health, and good fortune. APABA thanks you for your continued service to the legal profession and the community, and we wish you continued prosperity and nothing but the best.
At this time, the court will call upon Michael Matthews to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the Federal Bar Association.
May it please the court. I'm Mike Matthews. I'm the current president of the Federal Bar Association Tampa Bay chapter. We were very lucky to have Judge Palermo as a member of our board of directors for a number of years. And it should surprise no one in this room that Judge Palermo was our go-to board member for anything that needed to get done. Among other things, Judge Palermo was in charge of membership for us, and he presided over a time when we grew significantly our membership. We're now one of the largest chapters of the Federal Bar Association in the United States, and that's one of the reasons why we were chosen to host the FBA's National Convention, which is coming to Tampa 2 weeks from today. And we hope to see you all there. And as a token of our appreciation, Judge Palermo, we ordered you a gavel. In candor to the court, I have to say that the lawyer who ordered it yesterday very astutely noticed that there was incorrect use of a preposition. And so it has been redone. Luckily, that particular lawyer was taught English by the very best English teacher in the profession, Judge Palermo's mother. So without further ado, we present you with your grammatically correct gavel.
We are honored to have with us the president of Jesuit High School, Father Richard Hermes. Father, thank you for being here with us. At this time, I'm going to call upon Anthony Garcia to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the Jesuit Bar Association.
May it please the court. I'm Anthony Garcia on behalf of the Jesuit Bar Association. The Jesuit Bar Association consists of Jesuit graduates dedicated to the practice of law, an unwavering commitment to service and social justice while living as men for others. He's too modest to share, but in Tampa Jesuit High School graduation year of 1994, Judge Palermo served as a debate team leader, which was an award-winning team, bringing home the gold in '94. We use those skills today. Judge Palermo honorably served, as we've heard before, his community as a firm yet fair prosecutor at the state and federal levels. He is a scholar of and has battled against opioid abuse. And despite his rigorous approach to practicing law, Judge Palermo, I think most telling, makes time for his faith, his family, his friends, and his neighbors, and continues to volunteer his time and barbecue grilling talents with Peter's Scout Troop. Judge Palermo On behalf of the Jesuit Bar Association, thank you for leading by example and for your commitment to living a purpose-driven life as a man for others. Please accept this golden gavel, and congratulations to you, to Brittany, Peter, Luna, and Apollo, and the entire Palermo family.
And at this time, the court will call upon Simon Gaudish to make a presentation to Judge Palermo on behalf of the Goldberg Cacciatore Inn of Court. And we're honored to have with us the actual Cacciatore of the Cacciatore Inn of Court.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Gaudish. I am the incoming president for the Goldberg Cacciatore Criminal Law American Inn of Court. I think most people here are familiar with the Inns of Court. Goldberg Cacciatore Inn of Court is a special inn for two reasons. One, its members, and two, because it was the first exclusive criminal law inn of court ever established in the United States. We stand for legal excellence, professionalism, civility, and for ethics in the practice. I knew I should have kept it ethic. So, Judge Palermo, you've been a member of the inn since 2002. And during the time that you've been a member, you've held a bunch of positions, from clerk to treasurer, chancellor, and ultimately past president. We have a number of distinguished members of the Goldberg Cacciatore Inn of Court, including our very first Secretary of State, Laurel Moore Lee, who's with us today. But today you will join the ranks of our most distinguished members. I know I'm supposed to keep my remarks brief, and I will, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Judge Palermo and I, we worked together at the United States Attorney's Office for over a decade. He was one of the first people to introduce me to the AUSAs in the office. He made me feel very welcome, and we quickly became close friends and trusted colleagues. So having worked with him for 10 years, I can tell you from personal observation, you will not find a more hardworking and devoted public servant than Judge Palermo. He was at the United States Attorney's Office for 12 years. He worked tirelessly, and that is an understatement, tirelessly for the office in the pursuit of justice. Everything he did was exceptional, and he stood out because of that. So it really came as no surprise when he was appointed to the bench, and we were thrilled when we learned the great news. You epitomize what the Inn of Court and what the Justice Department stands for. And we know that you will treat all those who come before you with the same professionalism and civility that you have demonstrated as an AUSA and as a member of the Goldberg Cacciatore Inn. So we would like to present you today with the Pillar of Justice. May you always be that pillar.
Well, Judge, you've got nameplates and gavels and bamboo and pillar and golden gavels. And, there's no more room on that table. I don't think Santa Claus is going to have anything to bring you. I think you've run out of gifts to receive. So at this time, I'm going to ask Deputy Nancy,
Yes.
will you please escort Judge Palermo to his place here on the bench?
My honor.
You're up here. You don't want to miss what people are going to say about you. going to call upon our former colleague, the Honorable Laurel Lee, the Secretary of State, to make some remarks on Judge Palermo's behalf.
Well, it is such an honor to be here this afternoon to celebrate the investiture of Judge Palermo. As many of you know, I served as a judge here in the 13th Judicial Circuit until February of this year, so it is very much a homecoming to get to be here and to share in this wonderful event with Judge Palermo and his family. I've known Judge Palermo for almost 20 years now. We originally met when we were both new lawyers clerking for federal judges here in the United States District Court in Tampa. He became one of my earliest friends and colleagues in Tampa, and I am very fortunate to say that he remained one of my dearest friends in Tampa since then. We later crossed paths again at the U.S. Attorney's Office and served there together for many years. So I've had the opportunity to know Judge Palermo, both professionally and personally, over the course of his career. And I will tell you that I am absolutely certain that he will serve the 13th Judicial Circuit and this community with incredible distinction and honor, as he has in all of his prior positions. As looking around this room makes evident, Judge Palermo has the ability to connect with people. Wherever he passes through, he leaves friends behind. I will tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I called Tom in preparation for today's events, and of all things, Tom said to me that he was concerned that people wouldn't be here. And I have never seen such a turnout and such a remarkable crowd for an investiture as I do here today. And that speaks to one of Tom's finest attributes, and that is, despite his extraordinary talent, his extraordinary accomplishments throughout his career, he maintains the humility that is one of the things that all of us love so dearly about Tom. So I see here today not only Tom and I from that Y2K vintage clerkship, but a number of our other fellow law clerks from that era. I see friends from his youth, family, colleagues from the state attorney's office, members of law enforcement who had the good fortune to work cases with him, colleagues, of course, from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Each part of his life is represented so well here today because he doesn't just do his job. He connects with people, he treats them well, and he creates enduring relationships wherever he goes. For the community, the lawyers, the litigants who will appear before him, Judge Palermo honors the law and doing the right thing. He approaches his cases with integrity. Those of us who knew him as a prosecutor knew that for Judge Palermo, it wasn't about winning, it was about justice. It was about doing the right thing. He holds himself to the highest standards of ethics and professional competence, and thus he will look for the same in those who appear before him. For the judges here today, take the time to get to know Judge Palermo, for you will be so grateful that you did. Judge Palermo is the very best sort of colleague. The sort of colleague who is thoughtful, who is kind, who brings an abiding optimism and spirit to everything he undertakes, no matter how difficult or challenging. Whatever else is going on, you will always feel a little bit happier for having passed him in the hall. I spoke to a few of my friends who are judges about Tom before tonight, and not surprisingly, they said the same things. Many of them used the same adjectives. He's honest, he's hardworking, he's principled, he acts with integrity. Judge Porcelli spoke of his character and used the word authentic, and that could not be more true. Judge Palermo is the same person, no matter who he is with, no matter what day it is, what year it is, whether it is convenient. He is true to himself and his values, and he is true to his character. And that is the kind of person we are so fortunate to have serving on the bench. He never shies from a challenge and was known to take on some of the largest and most complex cases as a prosecutor. He's prosecuted everything from misdemeanors to the most complex of white-collar investigations. So one of my favorite U.S. Attorney's Office stories about Judge Palermo stems from his prosecution of a particularly complex case. It was a white-collar fraud case. I believe it lasted about 6 weeks. I'm pretty sure that multiple of the lawyers who were involved in this case are present here today from both sides of the courtroom. So as any of you have either tried or presided over a case of that length, you understand that life continues to happen. You don't just get to try a case for 6 weeks and assume everything will be fine. Things happen, things may come up, things may go wrong, for good or bad. Another thing that's true about a case of that scale is that it's virtually impossible to try it alone. So typically you'll have a trial partner who can help manage witnesses and help manage collection and use of the evidence and the presentation in front of the jury. So often there are two prosecutors working together, and one will be handling last-minute issues while the other is actually up on his or her feet making argument to the court or handling a witness. Now, for any of you who haven't tried such a case or had such an experience, another little important insight tip that is important to share. Trial partners are rarely prepared to swap witnesses. Whatever is your set of things that you're responsible for, often that's all you are thoroughly prepared to do. And despite the fact that you're physically in the courtroom, you really haven't prepared to handle that which you expect your trial partner is going to do. Now, judges, don't listen to this part. To such an extent that sometimes one of the lawyers on this trial team may be hardly listening to what's going on in the courtroom. If their trial partner is up and has a witness on the stand and is working hard, you may be over here reading a trial transcript from the day before or a deposition or preparing for your next witness. So this is, and then you perk up if you hear objection or the judge says something. So Judge Palermo handled such a trial with former AUSA, now Judge Christopher Toot. And at that time, Judge Toot was my next door neighbor at the U.S. Attorney's Office, so I would get these after-action reports sometimes. And it happened one time during this 6-week trial with Judge Palermo and Judge Toot that life happened, and Judge Palermo got the flu. The awful, nauseous, shaking, sweating, terrible flu that anybody in any normal profession would stay home and not go to work in the first place. But because they were in the middle, he had to go, and he did. So Judge Palermo proceeded to go to trial, but he looked so bad that during his examination of a witness, Judge Virginia Covington from the bench actually said, "Mr. Palermo, stop, you look awful." So there we have Judge Toot over at counsel table who looks up and thinks, "Oh my, this has happened to my trial partner." So he got them through to the lunch break, but rather than go home, Judge Palermo went to the witness anteroom outside of the courtroom, laid on the floor, took a nap, and as Judge Toot describes it, rose like Lazarus after the lunch break, and performed such an effective cross-examination that none of the other defendants even testified. So this speaks to a couple of important things that you will also come to learn about Judge Palermo. He is possessed of a grit and a determination and a work ethic. He can be counted upon to take the hardest case and to see it through to fruition. These attributes are going to serve him very well. I hear he also really loves M&Ms. That's the story you can get from Judge. Although, of course, he wouldn't be here if his professional accomplishments weren't extraordinary and numerous. He is a very skilled, very decorated trial attorney. In fact, at the U.S. Attorney's Office, sometimes we wonder just how it was he accumulated so many plaques and accolades and commendations for his cases. It seemed he was in 2 places at once sometimes. He has had an extraordinary and very distinguished career. But I think his greatest accomplishment is what is demonstrated by your presence here today. There is no greater accomplishment than having such extraordinary love and support from your community that this group of colleagues, friends, dignitaries would turn out all in what is truly a celebration for our community, for the great gift that we have in Judge Palermo joining us on the bench. It's also important to note that Judge Palermo is very much defined by his love of family. It is the most important thing in the world to him. His parents, his wife Brittany, his siblings, Peter. You can only imagine. Tom speaks of you so frequently. I feel like I have known all of you for 20 years. He is so very, very proud of you, and there is nothing more important to him than the love and support that he has from his family. Peter, I don't think there have ever been a mom and dad who were more overjoyed to have a child, and your dad is so very proud of you. So I'll finish up with just a few words of wisdom that I actually want Judge Palermo to have about his new colleagues that he will have here in the 13th Judicial Circuit. So when judges retire, we have judges meetings here about, and I will keep saying we, I cannot stop that. I'm still a we as far as I'm concerned.
Always.
Yes. About once a month, we'll get together. And when a judge is retiring, that judge usually has a few moments to get up and say a few words to their colleagues as they go. And I noticed over time that virtually every judge would say the same thing. And it's this. He or she would say, the thing that you will miss the most and the thing that you will cherish the most is the people, your colleagues. And I took note of that during my first few years here. You won't see it at first. Everyone's busy. Judges spend most all day on the bench, and even if you're off, chances are your colleagues are on the bench. So it doesn't happen right away. But you will find that over time, the people, the courthouse family, but most especially your fellow judges, will become an irreplaceable part of your life. When I left to become Secretary of State, due to its very nature, I got a call from the governor, and I left very suddenly. So, in fact, Judge Moe said it was like the rapture, that I was here one day and vanished the next day. So I didn't have a chance to say those few words to my colleagues at our judges meeting. So I will share them here with my colleagues and Judge Palermo. And what I will say is this, all of those other judges, most of whom served many, many years longer than I did, were absolutely right. Even with the cases and all of the things you'll see and all of the things you'll experience, the thing that will mean the most to you and the thing you will cherish the most is the people with whom you work. So, I have a few insider tips. These took me 6 years to develop, so I want Judge Palermo to have the shortcut, the Cliff Notes. Judge Battles makes good coffee and is always here early. So if you want to talk about cases or hear the joke of the day, he is a wonderful source. Speaking of humor, Judge Nazaritan is one of the funniest people that I know and can always make you laugh no matter what is going on. He once assigned all of the family law judges trucker handles and used those instead of our names. Mine was Casper, which doesn't require an explanation for any other reform. Judge Nash has an encyclopedic memory and can remind you of anything you ever did together long after you forget. And Judge Vance, in addition to being an excellent judge, is also an excellent cook, and her chambers is frequently a good source for excellent baked goods. So I could do 62 of those, but we haven't the time. So I'll stop with a word about the chief judge. The chief judge really cares about us. And when you need help, he will be there for you and make sure you get it. Even if it causes him inconvenience and hardship, he will always find a way to support his judges when they need him. So Judge Palermo, take the time to get to know them. They'll take the time to get to know you and embrace this diverse crew back here, just as you embrace the legal community, the litigants, and honor this role that has been bestowed upon you. The 13th Judicial Circuit is so blessed to have a colleague like you who is so dedicated to the law, to integrity, and to our community. I look forward to seeing the great things you accomplish in your career on the bench, and I humbly thank you for the opportunity to celebrate this great day with you and your family.
Thank you for those very kind words, Secretary Lee. You are always part of our family, of our court family. At this time, I'm going to call upon Anthony Palermo, Judge Palermo's brother, to make some remarks on his behalf.
May it please the court. Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Palermo, Judge Thomas Palermo's little brother. Today's a big day. I'm the best trial lawyer in the family now. Better than when I was the best blue booker. So, my cousin Jimmy, cousins Michael, transactional lawyers, thank you for doing that. My wife, better half, in-house, thank you for doing that. And now my brother, taking his place on the bench here, thank you for that. Give me a moment to enjoy this. And now let's see how I do, speaking in front of esteemed state and federal judges, appellate judges, Secretary of State, lawyers I look up to, friends, family. No pressure. There is one thing in which I feel no pressure about, I have the utmost confidence in, and have no nerves about, and that's how you'll do as a judge. I remember trying to describe it to someone who asked me how I felt about it and what I thought, and I said, you know, me and you were in front of him in court, he's sitting right there, I was at that table, friends at that table. I said he'd give us a fair shake, try and follow the law, and do the right thing. I think that speaks volumes about you as a jurist. I don't know what it says about you as a brother. I'm just kidding. What it says about him as a brother and what I look up to the most about him is he always puts in the effort, tries to hear both sides, and do the right thing. For that trait, not only do well here and fit in amongst the great judiciary we have in state and federal courts here in Hillsborough County, but he's always inspired me. He was fortunate he was 12 years older, so we never competed, and he was more like a mentor. But I've always been able to talk to him freely and try and figure things out when I face a difficult decision, and he always helped me to do the right thing. He's lived a life and worked a tremendously dedicated career that shows who he is. He's a family man and a public servant. Worked at the state attorney's office, U.S. attorney's office. He was always proud to say his client was justice. He had to do the right thing. He worked hard to do it. I know at times it was a tireless effort. You worked hard all day in court. You went back to your office to prepare. You ate an entirely unhealthy meal of M&Ms. They slept on your office floor sometimes. But you did the right thing. You represent your state well, your country well, your family well. You'll do the same as a judge. I have no doubts about it. Speaking of family, it's a big reason why we're here today. First off, it's a big reason why this speech is going all right. It's because of my wife, my better half. I told her a little bit about the first speech. She reminded me it was an investiture, not a roast. I've got the real version at home. She's my better half, smart, successful, hardworking, great attorney. Thank you for going in-house. We actually met in this courtroom when we got sworn in together by Judge Isom. And Rory is somewhere singing Aladdin outside, thankfully not in here anymore. Greatest daughter, greatest thing I have. My brother's wife, Brittany, we've always been a rock for the family, but a lot friendlier. You're smart, kind, successful, family-oriented, best addition to the families until my wife. But seriously, you sacrificed time when my brother should have been there with you, Peter, for him to do what he loves, try cases, do a job. And you always encouraged him, supported him, and I know inspired him. He wouldn't be here without you. And you also gave my brother the best pet name ever that I've remembered since middle school. I won't tell anyone, but thank you for that. Peter, my nephew, you already have all the great traits of your parents. Both of them, you're smart, hardworking, got a heart of gold. My brother, your mother, they're tremendously proud of you. I am too. It was probably tough when your dad was a federal prosecutor. It's not going to get much better now that he's a judge. Authority to put you in contempt. All those sort of things. So with that, keep being the good young man that you are. And it makes Thomas incredibly proud and lets him work hard because he doesn't have to worry about you. My sister, as between me and my brother, you've always been in charge. We don't expect that to change now that he has a rope. Smart, hardworking. Most of all, you've always loved your family, supported us fiercely, and given us the stern input we needed from time to time. In the best way. We'll readily admit that you encourage us and inspire us all the time. My cousins, Jimmy and Michael, thank you for being transactional lawyers. It's been great running down your good names in the legal community, along with my great uncles, Henry. Thank you for inspiring us, not just being family, but friends and mentors in what we're doing. My parents, Peter, Delia. My brother and I, we worked for my dad. He's a very successful business owner. And we then went to school for as long as we could to avoid it. We saw the hard work it entailed. We now just, unfortunately, do it differently. But you've always been a man of integrity, family man, hardworking. You made sacrifices for us, championed education, went to college while working full-time, the list goes on and on. But you showed us how to be husbands, fathers, and professionals. My mother, speaking of staying in college forever, you pulled it off. 40 years as an educator. First language was Spanish, went to school, and made it through school at a record pace, decided she would become an educator to give back, and just kept on learning on the side while raising us. You're still learning. You're retired, but you take classes all the time. You've always shown us a work ethic, a love, and I think what's going to serve Tom as well is a love of learning, a love of reading, a love of writing. And both parents showed us the importance of family, hard work, doing the right thing. We've always wanted to make both of you proud and the rest of our family proud. Thomas, I mentioned all those people in the family because they made this day possible through their love, encouragement, and example. But along with all the family and friends here today, I know that they're incredibly proud of you. You've got the work ethic, integrity, and family behind you to be a successful judge. I'm humbled and honored to speak here today, but even more humbled and honored to be your brother every day. So that's it for me.
Anthony, great job. My brother spoke in mind this term. You did a great job. At this time, I'm going to call upon Judge Palermo, who's already gone, there you go, to make such remarks as he may deem appropriate.
So I've already cried about 5 times today. And I think when I tried to say goodbye to the U.S. Attorney's Office, I did the same thing. So This time I've done what I never do, which is to actually write down what I wanted to say. And it also gives me a good excuse not to look up so that I don't cry again. May it please the court, Chief Judge Ficarota, esteemed members of the judiciary, distinguished guests, my colleagues, my neighbors, my friends, my family. For those of you who aren't in the legal profession, the law is steeped in tradition, ritual, and symbolism. An investiture is the public ritual in which a lawyer is invested with a judge's authority and responsibility. In many ways, it's the marriage ceremony. And in a marriage ceremony, there's usually a moment when the gathered congregation is asked to support and sustain the new marriage. That too is part of the investiture as well. My response here today is my opportunity to do two things. To first, say thank you. And second, to humbly ask each of you to help me to be worthy of this new responsibility. Thank you all for sacrificing your time to be here today, to be here with me. I will never be able to fully express to you what your being here with me today means to me. I hope I will have an opportunity after the ceremony to personally thank each of you. Today would not have happened without Janice Albury and Suzanne Flowers and all of the 13th Circuit that helped make today possible. Janice and Suzanne? I'm going to ask you about what time you might have in one moment. I have Suzanne, thank you. Janice. The tireless work of the 13th Circuit staff today and every day is appreciated. I also want to say thank you to the boys of Cub Scout Pack 23. Although you wouldn't know it from today, our camping trips are actually a lot like Lord of the Flies. I've been honored to watch you all grow up and to witness the bonds of friendship form between you and to form bonds of friendship with your dads. Today you led us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which fittingly ends with the promise of justice for all. Thank you. Thank you to the bar associations and organizations that joined in today's ceremony. Each of you make major contributions to the judiciary and bar. And frankly, I'm the one who's humbled to be here today. You often represent the best of us, and I will do my best to be worthy of your support and your remarks today. I'm also especially grateful to Simon and the Goldberg Cacciatore and Court. It was the first legal organization I joined after becoming a lawyer. I believe in the anti-court movement. I believe in advancing ethics and civility and breaking bread together. I wouldn't be here without the 13th Judicial Circuit's nominating commission. Thank you, Chairman Gilbert Singer, Teresa Gaffney, Elba Martin Shoemaker, Andy Mates, State Representative Michael Beltran, Alex Cavallero, Thomas Newcomb Hyde, Art Anderson, and Christine Durr. I will do my best to be worthy of the opportunity you gave me. I also want to thank the other applicants. You were each brilliant, thoughtful, and able, and I appreciated your encouragement and congratulations. I knew, and I got the sense that we were all seeking the same job, but we also all shared the same goal, to make the judiciary successful. Thank you, Governor DeSantis and his General Counsel's office. You would think I'm thanking them solely for appointing me, but the reality is I'm thanking them for selecting Laurel Lee to be our Secretary of State, and then selecting me to fill her seat on the 13th Circuit. The Governor reposed in me his confidence that I would faithfully execute my oath of office, and with your help, I will not let him down. Thank you, Laurel Lee, for your kind words and for your friendship. I work down the hallway from you at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I have long counted you as one of my friends. I will do my best to live up to your example, although I honestly do not know how in the world I'm going to fill your shoes. My first job after my LLM was as a law clerk for United States Magistrate Judge Elizabeth Jenkins. I'm sorry she couldn't be here today, but I will always be forever grateful to her. And I have to thank Kathy Morgan and Irene Frick for being my clerkship colleagues and my forever friends. I'd also wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Mark Ober. He took a chance on me and hired me as one of his prosecutors. He's been a mentor and a friend. And I got to serve in the company of outstanding attorneys from whom I've learned so much. Jay Pruner, Jalal Har, Chris Moody, Richard Lawson, Sean Keefe, Douglas Covington, Susie Rosamundo, Sherry Maxim, Chris Gibbons, Ryan Root. The list would go on and on, including one of my dearest friends, Mike Sinecor. I crossed swords with, learned from, and became good friends with so many exceptional defense lawyers. Julie Holt's office is filled with some of the most talented lawyers you will ever meet. Dedicated public servants, men and women. Chris Watson, Mike Peacock. Some of the men and women are now my colleagues and friends, like Lisa Campbell and Samantha Ward. At the state attorney's office, I tried approximately 66 cases in front of 13 of the judges you see here. A couple of those judges might have gone to the second TCA just to avoid another of my trials. Thank you, Judge Black. I am desperately hoping that you have all forgiven me, because otherwise I'm not looking forward to my future assignment in the South Waimama Pro Se Civil Traffic. That being said, you all have given me such a warm welcome and have been tremendous colleagues, especially Judge Teshi Darkin, who bequeathed to me an outstanding dependency division and patiently sat with me for weeks. To my first mentor judge, Tom Barber, to my newly assigned mentor judge, Chris Sabella, and Judge Sabella, my last mentor judge, promptly became a federal judge, so congratulations. To the social glue of the court family, judges like Laurel Ward, to Judge Wolf for not letting me resign as a baby prosecutor, to judges like Emily Peacock and Jennifer Gabbard, to my friend, Nick Nazarian, who has selflessly looked out for me and called me many times to let me know exactly how many hours were left to my investiture and asked me if I was ready. You all have been true friends. And then special thanks to the Chief Judge, Ronald Ficarota. He was my first felony line division judge. He taught me the phrase with car keys to drop them like they're hot. He has been a wonderful friend and mentor, and his leadership in the courthouse and in this community are extraordinary. Thank you to Jennifer Hercules, my deputy clerk of Court Division C, and to Denise Strickland, my case manager. Thank you to my bailiffs, Anthony Janusa and Mike Barman, who have treated me with the kind of kindness that I don't deserve. And thank you to Sergeant Escobio, who made today possible and has looked out for me more times than I can count, not least of which between him and his bailiffs, keeping me from going to the front lobby anymore. Any success we've had as a division is because of your efforts. And thank you to the Attorney General's Office, the guardian ad litem staff, and amazing volunteers, regional counsel, and the attorneys who appear in dependency. It has been my privilege to preside over your cases and to learn from you. And I wouldn't be here without the speech and debate program at Jesuit High School. I hope I have been a man for others. After I left the state attorney's office, I had the privilege of serving the United States of America for 12 years as a federal prosecutor. Now, I'm 100% American, but I am by heritage half Italian, half Hispanic, and I see everything through the lens of family. I spent 12 years serving in a federal family. Thank you to Maria Chapa Lopez, our U.S. attorney. Thank you to the other U.S. attorneys underneath whom I served, Steve Muldrow, Lee Bentley, Brian Albritton, Bobby O'Neill, all of whom I've served as an AUSA. I miss the USAO family. I never had the right words to express my love and affection and all that you all have meant to me and mean to me. I think on my friends in and from that office over the last 12 years, my dear friend Anthony Porcelli, Chris Tube, who did the Bain trial with me, Bob Mazikowski, Stacey Harris, who's just back from the Deputy Attorney General's office, the #2 office in the United States Department of Justice, Dan Baeza, Mike Gordon, Jim Preston, Charlie Conley, Mike Baggy, Lisa Bellwell just won the Florida Gang Prosecutor of the Year, Rochelle Bedke, Joe Ruddy, Jay Tresman, who is the finest trial lawyer I have ever met, Todd Crandy, who is a dear friend and was always there after hours to save me, David Rhodes, Anita Cream, Josie Thomas, who was my law clerk buddy, and so many others. And of course, one of my best friends of all, Susan Rothstein-Uelken. Thank you to Donna Elm and her exceptionally talented group of federal defenders. In her office serve some of the finest lawyers in public service. You and Ms. Holt have a lot in common there. And I miss seeing Adam Allen and Frank Sorrento, Sarah Mishkowski, and Phil Hart, and so many others. I'm also so grateful to the extraordinary men and women in the defense bar with whom I've crossed swords and become friends, and from whom I have learned so much. Men and women like John Fitzgibbons, Jim Fellman, Catherine Giannis, Ron Cacciatore, Caleb Mazzara, Greg Kehoe, Eddie Suarez, Brian Scriven, Lavo Huerta, Victor Pellegrino, Sandy Weinberg. There are so many others who I have litigated against and grown to love. In the federal system, the AUSA has worked in partnership with the agents on cases. I lucked out. I work with Brooke Harris's team at DCIS. I work with NASA agents like Phil Mazzella. I work with FBI agents like Mary Rowan and Tom Rowan. Tom is here out in the front row in the back. It's his birthday, and he's still here today. Susanna Mapu, Tom Bauer, Jay Stone, Jim Sparrow's huge team at HSI, Ryan Lynch's team at Health and Human Services, the Secret Service agents. Joey Bynus flew down from Washington, D.C. today. Tony Magus, who I miss. I was fortunate even to round out my AUSA career working with Hawk. As a prosecutor for years, I worked out at the TPD gym. Mayor Casper, I don't know if you noticed, but every time you walked into the gym, almost all the officers switched to curls or pull-ups trying to impress you. This is my going-away gift. Unless you want all the officers to have enormous biceps and nothing else, you may not want to go in as often. Thank you for being here, Mayor Casper, and for all your leadership you showed over the last 12 years of my career. And thank you to Mayor Iorio, who was my next-door neighbor, who lived right behind me, who would let me retrieve things I'd thrown over the fence as a kid, who was always generous to me and lent me the book, Dance of Legislation, and who was a fellow American University grad. Thank you to Governor Martinez and to Representative Kathy Casper for your public service and your kindness as I've embarked on this new role. There is a group that inspired me to try to become a judge. When the governor interviewed me in his office, I probably spent the most time talking about you. About all the things I learned from you. Excuse me. About all the things I learned from you about being a judge. And setting the standard for me and what I think of as a good judge. The judges in the Middle District of Florida, the district and magistrate judges, it was the greatest honor of my career to announce my appearance before you. I can never hope to be your equals, but I will always work to emulate the good examples you set. Thank you, Chief Judge Meredith, Judges Butler and Scriven and Whittemore and Barber and Judge Kovakovich, Judge Porcelli and Sansoni and Toot and Flynn and especially Judge Pizzo, for being here with me, and to all the Middle District of Florida judges, thank you for being my role models. I know that there are so many more to thank, and I've used up far too much of your time. So I want to stop for a second and turn to just a couple of the most important people in my life. Pasquale Lazzara was a laborer from Sicily. He became a United States citizen here in Tampa. With me now, there are two of his descendants who have taken the bench. What many of you probably didn't know is that Richard Lazzara is my cousin. He is a United States District Judge, and before that he was a county judge, a 13th Circuit judge, and a second DCA judge. More importantly, he's been a mentor and an inspiration, and probably the most terrifying moments when he asked me to call Richard. Thank you. My nonno is 95. He fought in World War II. He served in England, France, Belgium, and Germany with the United States Army. He was inducted in the Army in February of 1943 during his senior year at Hillsborough High School. This year, he finally got to walk across the stage and graduate. He has lived a life of love for his family, and he has been one of my inspirations. Thank you, Nando. Nana couldn't be here. She suffers from severe dementia and is at home. My Aunt Dolores, we all call Loli. She lives with her parents and is their full-time caregiver. She has led by example, sacrificing and dedicating herself to the love of her family, and she is my inspiration. Thank you, Lily. My mother-in-law, Rosemary Morrill, and father-in-law, Tom Morrill, moved from a tiny town in Vermont. I mean, it looks like a Norman Rockwell painting. And they left it just to move to be closer to us. They gave me an incredible gift, the hand of their daughter in matrimony. Thank you both of her. Thank you both of you for her. And for all the love and support. Among the 10 greatest days of my life is the day my sister Anna Maria Palermo was born. If I have any good traits, then they are from her very existence. No one loves more fiercely. She's a realtor working for my cousin Michael Palermo, and really, she's the one of us who should have been the lawyer. Thank you, Reed. I love you. My brother Anthony has a dimple. He is the smartest, kindest person I know, and I am always the straight man in his comedy routines. He's the commercial litigator in Holland and Knight, a firm that embraced me because of him. Anthony is a father to the adorable Lori Palermo and married to the extraordinary Alex Palermo. And I can say, Anthony is one of my heroes. My father, Peter Palermo, he is from Seminole Heights. My friend Chris Mercer bought his old house and sold it and put a second house on the property. Yeah. He is extremely good at everything he does. My dad is competent, kind, tough, and stoic. He sacrifices for his family, and I have spent every day of my time as a father just trying to copy the things that he did with me. No son could ask for a better father. Thank you, Dad. My mother, Delia Palermo, is from Ybor City, and her first language is Spanish. There are times when she had to choose between food and education. She got a PhD. She briefly taught English at Lato High School, and yet she served a full career as a professor. Whenever she and my dad had a choice, they would sacrifice their own wants and needs to those of their children, and they put no limit on what we could do for our education. My mother, Dr. Delia Palermo, is the embodiment of love, and she is my daily inspiration. I love you, Mom. Thank you. My son, Peter Palermo, is the absolute center of my world. Peter's 9 years old. Take him to school every morning. And I tell him one thing every day, and I say it here now before you all. Peter Thomas Palermo, I love you, and I am so proud of you. You are kind, generous, thoughtful, you love your family, and you are the son I don't deserve. And I am grateful that I am your father. And finally, my wife, Brittany Ann Morrill Palermo. You are my best friend. You are smart, you are kind, you are generous, you are patient beyond reason. You always think of everyone else first, and I know beyond a doubt that I don't deserve you. And while I'm going to do my best to be worthy of the job as a judge, I know that I will never be worthy of being your husband, but I love you. And with that, thank you all, and thank you for being here.
I hope you take time to savor today. Secretary Lee said this is a record turnout of judges and family members and friends and the people that admire and respect you. It's a great credit to you and to your wonderful, wonderful family. You are a great addition to our family, our court family, and we're honored to have you join us. At this time, I'm going to call upon Monsignor Michael Moore to give us the benediction.
Judge Palermo, there was a 14th century Dominican monk who once said this: if the only prayer you say in your entire life is thank you, it would be enough. And I don't think that the monk was a minimalist, but when we really have gratitude in our heart, that's where service comes from. I was thinking about how all of you, your colleagues, had a day like this. And there's not many times in your life when everybody there is just there for you. So it's really a time to soak it in. As the Chief Justice said, to savor the moment. We do this because your role is so important to our community and our country. And so we give thanks to all of us. Dear God, may we always be grateful for all of our blessings, especially the blessing of family and friends, our community, all the things. May we never, ever take them for granted. And we pray, Lord, that we may always, that out of that gratitude, may come lives of service. We may be able to be there for those who need us most. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Monsignor. Due to the large number of people in attendance and the hour, we're going to forego the traditional receiving line here in front of the bench at the conclusion of our investiture ceremony today. You may certainly extend your congratulations and best wishes to Judge Palermo and his family at the reception this evening at the Italian Club. And with that, Deputy Manzi, court is adjourned.
Guys.